As the third oldest track in the world and certainly the most famous, it is truly the granddaddy of them all. And tonight it plays host to the opening race in the chase for the Great Lakes Truck Series Championship. Good evening, everyone. I'm Hunter Brittle alongside my good friend Elliot Henderson, ready to bring you all the action live on Split Second Broadcasting. The field has been re-racked and restacked, Elliot. How does the mentality change from the regular season now that it's chase time?
It amplifies for sure going into tonight. Obviously, we have 10 guys that are looking to put their names towards the top of the boards and hopefully cement themselves going forward deeper into these playoffs. And right now, Indy is the perfect place to kind of get that done. It's a very flat track. It offers very little in terms of, I guess, panache whenever you want to get off the corner and everything. It tightens up on you, and these trucks will definitely drive a little interesting tonight. So we'll have to see who can handle how this setup really works. We'll have to see who can handle the draft and who can handle the tires towards the end of these runs and see who comes out on top.
Absolutely a banger of a race to start off this 7-race chase for the championship here. We'll take a look at the points. Like I mentioned, we had re-racked and restacked. Nathan Jump, your regular season champion, is the only one who holds a point advantage. He had those crucial 10 bonus points for winning that championship. Everyone else is dead even, so it's a clean slate here. And Elliot, how are we feeling about this field here?
I think you've got one of the most competitive chase roster that we've seen in a while. I think there's definitely a few guys in there, Eric Kepf, Jackson Sims, Mike McConville, who we haven't really talked about for a lot of the season, that have either snuck their way in or have just kind of persevered throughout the regular season to put themselves in a position to be in this chase. But we'll have to see exactly who starts to come out on top and who might end up towards the bottom here, leaving Indianapolis.
Absolutely a stacked field when it comes to this field here. Very competitive all the way from top to bottom, with Nathan Jump, obviously your points champion, and then all the way down to Mike McConville, and the only person who we didn't get to talk to throughout the regular season, Eric Kepf, there, just squeaking in that very dramatic finish to the regular season here. We're going to try and drag Mike into the Discord here to get a word with him, to get his opinions and get his feelings on this chase. I believe this is his first chase in the Great Lakes Truck Series. So Mike McConville, it's Brittle and the boys up in the booth. Got a copy?
Hey, I got you, boys. How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Really excited to get this thing underway and watch you go out and tear it up. And maybe we'll even talk to you at the end after all this. But how are you feeling going into this whole, A, the race, and B, the chase?
Well, I'm just happy to be in the chase. It's been a pretty rough season. We had to squeak our way in a couple weeks ago. So my goal was to make the chase, and we're here. We're the dark horse, and the plan is now to win it all.
Well, we're really glad that you are in it. You certainly put on a heck of a show for us just getting in. I can't wait to see what you've got up your sleeve for us in this one, in the entire chase. How are you feeling about Indy? Is this a track that you're feeling pretty confident at?
I feel like this is going to be a really weird track to race at today, knowing how aero-dependent these trucks are. I feel like this might suit me a little bit because I'm usually one that goes off strategy a lot. And, we may have a little trick or two up our sleeves. Don't want to put anything out there to let anybody know, but, try to throw a little Jersey magic out there for everybody.
There you might go, Mike. Well, we can't wait to see what you've got for all of us in store here as we get ready to get underway here. We see you're all gridding up outside, out on the track, so we'll let you get back to it. So good luck to you tonight, and hopefully we'll talk to you at the end of this thing.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, fellas. Have a good broadcast up there.
That was Mike McConville, driver of the number 81 Chevrolet Silverado here. Elliot, he sounds pretty confident. How confident are we and the analysts in his efforts?
I'd say with how his season went, he has a lot of confidence going into this, especially with how he made it in. Chicagoland kind of came down to the wire for him, and I don't think any of us really had him on the bingo board to go through. We were all kind of staring at the Gavin Fitzgerald and Michael Sensi situation, and he knocked both of them out, put himself and kind of helped Eric Kepf put himself in as well. So He's got nothing to lose here. He shouldn't be here, as far as I think a lot of us are concerned with how that race ended up and everything. So he's playing on some house money, and he's going to see where that takes him, obviously tonight and following throughout this chase. So he's definitely an interesting one to watch. We've got a bunch of guys in here though that I think are going to be interesting to watch. We obviously talked briefly about Nick Caressel. He's making his first chase start as well. And then you've got old heads in here like Eric Kepf, who have multiple chase berths, and Shane Neiswanger, who actually, starting tonight, shares that list of the most chase berths in GLTS history. So we'll have to see how all this shapes up. But a lot of these new guys have come in and kind of shaken up the bottom order. We'll have to see if they can shake up the top of that order, though.
Definitely a mix of new and old here in this playoffs. Like we keep mentioning, it is definitely the most competitive chase field that we've ever had here in this one. Such a tightly knit group. Everybody, or for the most part, knows how everybody races, and you can really make some moves based on those bits of information there, and it leads to great racing that you're going to see right here all night long in this one.
Yeah, the one thing I want to point out to start is just where Jackson Sims is situated here on the grid, P3. And we talked about him a lot in the regular season. I don't think he ever really got the shining that he wanted. I think he was close at a couple different tracks. Maybe Gateway was one of them where he potentially could have put himself in victory lane. But starting third here tonight, a really good starting position for him. Usually the winner here at Indy comes from those first few rows. And another guy not in the chase, but how about Jordan Gonzalez right there in fifth, right behind him? He's going to be rolling off and in one of his best qualifying spots as well. So we'll have to see how that works out for both of those guys tonight.
Yeah, solid starting spot for Jordan Gonzalez here. Very interested to see how he moves forward in his initial season back from a GLTS break. You mentioned Jackson Sims. Let's go ahead and get him in here and talk to him, get his thoughts on the matter and the race at hand. Jackson Sims, it's Brittle and the boys up in the booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
How are you feeling going into this one, man? It's a lot bigger of a track. How are we feeling going into the this race and into the chase?
Qualifying third makes me feel a little better than I was before. I think Jump's gonna be real hard to beat. Zach too. Ashton starting next to me, he's going to be really good. So with the fuel strategy being kind of a question mark, and I don't know how many cautions we're going to have, but these races tend to go green. Really a lot of unknowns that I'm going to try to figure out during the race. So I don't really know.
Hey, you're definitely up there with the cream of the crop, dare I say, with Jump, Henry, and Ashton right there to your outside. Do you have a particular strategy tonight and going forward in the chase, or is it just go all out and see where the cards lay?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to run it any different than I did in the regular season. Just try to run my best, try to stay out of trouble, not do anything stupid, and not beat myself and see what happens.
That tends to be the best strategy all around. We'll let you get back to your team here. We've reached the one to green, so we won't bother you for too much longer. But thanks for talking to us, and good luck tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
That was Jackson Sims, driver of the number 6 Toyota Tundra. Elliot, we've reached the one to green. How about we run through the field here for the first time in this chase?
Yeah, starting on your front row, Nathan Jump, obviously your regular season champion, looking to start the night off well. Most wins on the season so far, starting P1. To his outside, Zach Henry, starting P2.
Jackson Sims, we just talked to, rolls off P3 with Ashton Lawson to his outside there. That top 4 are going to be making noise all night long. You bet you can go to the bank on that one.
And we talked briefly, Jordan Gonzalez is going to line up 5th with Matt Durr to his outside in 6th.
Nick Claressel rolls off in the 7th position with Mike McConville to his outside in the 81. That's a pair of newcomers to the Great Lakes Chase, making some noise and making a name for themselves here at Indy.
And rolling off right behind them, Robin Durr and Eric Kepf starting 9th and 10th, respectively.
It's all ones in the next row. Chris Heller running his number in the 11 truck, rolls off 11th, and Jared Darling to his outside here. Jared, starting about mid-pack, going to be looking to move forward here as they get through this event.
And starting behind them, you've got Brent Kingcott in 13th with Spencer Owens to his outside in 14th, and we're going to get ready to take the green flag.
Pace truck dives onto pit road. Here comes the field led by Nathan Jump coming down this long front straightaway here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's looking for that flag. He's got Zach Henry to his outside. The green flag is out. They're away with a shot. 2x2 packed all the way back. Zach Henry's going to have a little bit of advantage here as they come back down, as they come down into one and fire off in there. They're side by side as they head off into two.
He's going to have a lot more than just an advantage. He might be able to hold that outside lane. It's usually pretty helpful to be up there. And with how this track works, there is no restart zone, so there's no games to be played. So Jump was waiting until the green to keep them all stacked up, and I think that usually plays to his benefit, but I don't think it's going to help him here. Big push down the backstretch. Ashton Lawson going to shove. Zach Henry out to the lead. Jump's going to fall back to third, potentially fourth here as they go off into three.
Boy, Ashton Lawson tried to squeeze in between the 12 and the 25, and it did not work there. Jump did not let him have it that time, but he's starting to fall back into the clutches of that 44 of Matt Durr. He's side by side for third. Jump already falling back early. He's lost 3 positions. He's back to fourth as they flash back across the line to complete lap 1 here.
Yeah, Jump trying to regain some ground. Chris Heller back there working to the inside of, I believe that's Jared Darling, and some battles going on towards the back between Michael Sensi, Gavin Fitzgerald, and others. But right now it's all strung out for about the top 15 or so spots.
They've really single filed out here, and that's really what it's going to come down to is how fast, because the draft here is so big. You want to single file out and get into as much draft as you can with these long front and back stretch. That's going to be the big ticket item here is clean air, and that big draft there is as Chris Heller overtakes the 81 of Mike McConville, move him up into that into the 8th position there as they come back out of 4 this time. A little bit of a brush there coming out of 4. I believe that was the 48 of Jordan Gonzalez, if I'm not correct. So already we're going to see, and you're going to see that all night long here. It's a big thing to get tight out of these corners, and it just kind of pushes you right up into that wall.
Yeah, the trucks are going to get pretty. We just saw right there in front of Robin Dirk, some guys getting tight. Michael Sensi's been right all over the back of Gavin Fitzgerald back there. Shane Neiswanger's in a bit of that mix. That's all for about the 13th, 14th, 15th spots. Up in the lead, though, Ashton Lawson looking to the inside of Zach Henry going off into turn 3.
They are side by side for the lead here. Ashton Lawson wants it. Zach Henry has it. He's not going to get it done this time. Zach prevails with that outside line and the outside momentum here as Matt Durr is going to launch an attack on Ashton. He's going to squeak around him there and have the run off of 4, and Jackson Sims is going to follow through. Now we see a little bit of a role reversal here. Nathan Jump's coming back on the outside to Ashton Lawson, so that outside lane with that momentum proving to be absolutely lethal to pinching somebody down on corner exit.
Yeah, it's really difficult to make that bottom lane work. You're going to have to try really hard at it. It is still the premier way to pass, but unfortunately, if you get hung out down there and you get stuck down there going down the straightaway like Ashton still is now being passed by Gonzalez, you're going to lose a bunch of spots just down the straightaway. You've got to make that pass happen. You've got to clear the guy in the middle of the corner. You're going to lose a lot of spots down the straightaways here.
Ashton Lawson fell from second all the way to the 6th position there. He runs just in front of Eric Kepf there in that bright pink truck, who is under fire from Chris Heller. Heller looks to the inside, thinks better of it, tucks back into that draft there. Elliot, we talked about how hard it is to pass off coming off of these corners. How are these guys in the back going to be able to make their way up to the front if they've got speed late on?
I'm watching guys stack up, literally. Sensi, Jared Darling, others getting to the outside of other guys and just stacking up on top of each other. It's just going to be about tire conservation and not overdriving it, not overcooking that right front through the middle of the corner, and not hitting that outside wall like I believe Robin Durr nearly did as he tries to get to the back of Gavin Fitzgerald here. This has been a complete hornet's nest, and Shane Neiswanger, one of your top competitors coming into tonight, has been sitting behind watching this whole thing. But I think, honestly, if we just keep track of what Shane does tonight, he's probably going to be the guinea pig to watch, because he's usually really fast here and can find his way up towards the front. And right now he's trying to work his way. He's been stuck behind Sensi this whole time and just hasn't been able to make a move. But it's just going to come down to that tire conservation, and that's going to allow you to make the pass to the inside while these guys are trying to rip the outside and hold you down.
I just watched 3 trucks back to back to back all smack the outside of the wall, or smacked the outside wall coming off of turn 4. That was the 14, the 10, and the 37, all 1, 2, 3 like dominoes, just pow, pow, pow. So tire conservation not on their minds. They're giving it all she's got early on, and we'll have to see, like you said, Shane Neiswanger rides right behind them, see how he can pick his way through this field. I want to go a little bit back, a little further behind Shane there. Nick Caressel in the 45. He had a bit of a moment on lap 1, coming out of turn, I believe, in turn 2, where he got pinched to the inside of somebody, and he dropped all the way from 7th to 17th. So not having any favors done for him, he's going to have a long march back up to the front of this field.
Yeah, I'm watching some guys, and Sensi seems to be the one that visibly is slowing down the entry to his corner. We'll have to see if that's going to help his tire wear later on. Usually that's what you want to do, is slow down your entry and get on it a little bit later, but see Robin Durr on the screen right there, getting right up behind Gavin Fitzgerald. It's the guys that attack the corner, like that situation with Robin Durr. Those guys are going to be cooking the right front. So the idea is you want to just back up the entry, and you want to get on it as late as you can without getting, obviously, either run over or getting caught from behind, coming down these long straightaways and allowing someone to your inside, like Shane's going to look to the inside of Michael Sensi going off into turn 3 right now.
Patience going to be a absolute virtue tonight here as Shane Neiswanger looks to the inside of the 37 of Michael Sensi. Not going to happen this time. He tucks back in line here as they make the way through the middle of 3 and 4. We see already a little bit of a pack. We got a 6-car breakaway up at the front here. You got the top 6 led by Zach Henry all the way back to Ashton Lawson, and then between him and Eric Kepf, I believe it's about a half a second gap. Elliot, are we going to see pack racing at this?
I mean, man, I'm just watching Sensi, Durr, and Shane and Gavin all kind of match up to each other every time they go into the corner. If these guys can break away, yeah, the top 5 or 6 usually can drive away from everybody else because they're able to sit up there and kind of conserve tire and relax a little bit, not really drive too hard. These guys in the middle of the pack are either next to each other or they're just racing really hard. You can see Sensi and Shane Neiswanger on screen right there. They're the only 2 that are side by side right now, so they're the only 2 that are really using up tire, but you can just see how good the advantage of that outside lane is. Sensi has been ahead of Shane this whole time. Shane seems to have more speed and more capability than what Sensi has, but just can't seem to clear him. And right there, once again, still side by side down the front straightaway.
Boy, Shane really squeezed up into Sensi there. They're lucky both of them didn't get into the wall coming off of 4 there. Like you said, they are the only cars who are side by side on this track. Shane trying to make his way up to the front of this field, finding it hard to pass here. We mentioned how Shane is usually pretty good at these. It's funny, he's usually a purveyor of the harder braking and the harder braking tracks that like Martinsville, Richmond, Iowa, but always been able to make his way up pretty far on the leaderboard at this track here. So look for him to move up as we get on through this event. The field has single filed back out here, but I don't think we're done seeing this action here, as Robin Durr has been glued to the back bumper of the 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald for the past couple laps. Ever since Gavin got by him there, he has not been able to drive away from Robin Durr, so that can be an interesting pair to watch as we go through this first fuel run.
I was going to say, Robin started 19th, has kind of cycled back. He's dropped back to 13th here and hasn't really moved forward. Shane and Sensi have been moving up together and have just kind of been stuck behind these guys. Sensi now distancing himself from Shane a little bit, but Robin's been trying to eke his way back up to Gavin, and now you can see the gap building between Gavin and Spencer Owens. Shane looking back to the inside of Michael Sensi, but I mean, Robin has hit the outside wall a couple times and just can't exactly get anywhere when he gets close enough to Gavin. There's definitely a bit of a bubble when it comes to aero, and I thought for a second Sensi was going to let Shane go, and they're still side by side coming off of turn 3 there. But there's a bit of an aero bubble, and you need to get within it to really make something happen, and that's where I've been impressed with Shane. He can fall off Sensi and catch back up a little bit, as I believe Heller and Jared both got the wall up ahead pretty hard. Spencer Owen's going to get to the inside of Jared Darling here for about the 10th spot.
All 5 of those cars that were right there in that little pack, I believe, had a little bit of a brush with the wall. It was the Eric Kepf machine all the way back to Spencer Owens there. All 5 of them at least brushed the wall off of there. As we see, it's had a little bit of a ripple effect here as Shane Neiswanger and Michael Sensi have caught Robin Durr. Michael Sensi's to the inside of Durr this time. We'll have to see how that's going to affect the exit on that, the corner exit and the speed of that 10 truck or the 37 there, as they're door-to-door going down into 3. Cincy fires it off in there, but so here comes Robin Durr back on the outside trying to roll it. Shane doesn't know what lane to follow.
Yeah, I think the problem for the truck on the inside is the guy on the outside can drive it in so deep and hold that angle. Cincy caught the apron there. You saw him slide, and now Shane to the outside of him finally and actually gets around him there. And Cincy going to duck right up in front of Lewis Woodall. Very tight there, but that truck on the outside can just carry so much speed into the corner, similar to the truck on the inside, that it's really hard to be able to clear him.
You saw in the back of your picture there, Adam Zorn managed to spin it down into pit lane. I mean, that's about one of the cleanest self-spins that you can have at this track. Obviously, that inside wall is going to be absolutely lethal to the truck, but Adam Zorn spinning it onto pit road into a bit of a forced pit stop here. We'll have to see how that one's going to affect. See you slap off that wall, slap into the inside lane, and I mean, it's just, you know, hold her straight. Oh, that is just absolutely lethal contact. With how important Arrow is here, you got to think that his night is all but done after that one.
I'm sure Shane's going to have some words with Cincy here as Robin Durr looks to the inside of Gavin Fitzgerald. Cincy all over the back of Shane. Cincy's come in here with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. I feel like he wants to get a solid finish. Durr did not get down the straightaway, and Shane's going to have to give him a bump. Robin Durr came off that corner with a huge head of steam. Now Cincy to the back of Gavin Fitzgerald. Cincy might get a twofer here and go chase down Fitzgerald, but Cincy was all over the back of Shane, gave him a little shot into, I believe it was turn 4 last time. And now Shane and Cincy both going to pass Robin Durr, who I think was holding this pack up a little bit. Don't forget about old Louis Woodall back there. He's been keeping up with Shane and Cincy very well. I think if these guys can get around Gavin and Shane can finally clear Cincy, I think Shane might have something to say about that top 10.
Well, if he can getting him around him is one thing, but once he does get around him, is he going to have the tire to go anywhere with it? As they stack up again off of the corner. Gavin Fitzgerald absolutely holding up this line here. I believe you were correct in your assessment there. I believe the 10 and the 14 are absolutely holding up this duo of Shane and Cincy here as they go side by side down the front stretch here. Shane going to have the draft. He's finally going to get by Michael Cincy as they go off into one here. Now Shane sets to work on that 14 truck. You got to think he's going to set him up here going into turn 2 here, but Michael Cincy coming back right to his rear bumper.
Well, that's the thing, is Shane was clear of Cincy, and then Cincy got to run back around him. So these guys all racing really aggressive back here, right outside the top 10. Shane going to look to the inside of Gavin. The question is, who's Cincy going to go with? 9 times out of 10, he doesn't really go with the guy you expect him to go with. He's going to push Shane here down the backstretch. And Shane, if he has, he's got enough of an edge. He should just be able to clear Gavin going straight down into the corner. Cincy going to drive in hard as well. Gavin's going to be able to clear him, but Shane had a he had a bumper. He'll be able to clear him off into 4, though, and Gavin's going to have to recollect and try again as Cincy to the inside of Gavin. All really tight. You see them bouncing off the wall with Robin Durr back there. Cincy couldn't get the run, but Shane now clear of Gavin Fitzgerald and trying to drive up to that top 10.
Yep, Shane has cleared the 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald and is going to try and set a pick here as the 37 gets into the back of the 14. Boy, I tell you you don't know how much deja vu that I just had from my first GLTS start at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The exact same thing happened to me as what just happened to Gavin Fitzgerald there. Cincy got in really hot, a lot hotter than what Gavin was intending on getting into that corner, and just pushed him right into it sideways. Really good job of Gavin to keep it collected there. But now both the 37 and the 49 have gotten clear of the 14, and they will set their sights on the 1 of Jared Darling here, knocking on that top 10, knocking on the top 10 there. So we're going to have to see if they can close this gap here as Gavin now dives onto pit road. I wanted to say last time around, Chris Heller had pit, so pit stops already happening here on lap 16. You
got to wonder if there's a little bit of bad blood there between the 37 and the 14 as well after how Chicagoland went for them. Remember, they were banging off of each other all night long, it felt like, and neither of them ended up in the playoffs or the chase here. So I believe both of them are a little bit frustrated with not just each other, but just how their seasons have turned out here, both missing the chase after being right around that bubble line for so long. And you are right, they're starting to hit pit road, which is interesting. These guys should be close to being able to do about 20 laps. It'll be interesting to see if anybody tries to save that much. We know Brockman's still back there in the field running 12th right now, just behind Shane and Cincy, this battle that you're still watching, which I thought Shane would drive away for how aggressive that he wanted to be and how much he was all over Sensi at certain points, but he is not getting away from Sensi. Sensi's got something that Shane Nicewanger just does not have here. It's just going to be really hard for Sensi to try to make this pass as you see him look to the bottom, and he's going to have to get a nose on him going into one, and maybe Shane will give it to him, but with how hard those guys are running, I doubt it. Zach Henry has hit pit road, so your leader is already pitting, so it looks like these guys are going to force this into, I believe that makes it a 4-stop strategy, 15, 30, 45, and 60.
With a long 20-lap run there at the end. So it'll be very interesting to see if they can make that last run here with what we, based on our calculations, should be able to do, but we'll have to see if guys are even used to that. They're gonna have to save tires a lot longer on that last run there if they're gonna try and make it. But yeah, pit stops happening now. It looks like the 12 and the 48 are coming back out on the track, so the entirety of 2511 has now pit, with Heller kick-starting this whole pit cycle, and then Jump followed him in. We see the 26 now of Ashton Lawson is hitting pit road. Robin Durr is hitting pit road. So not really a huge dive onto pit road like we kind of expected. I believe like it's more spread out in this, people kind of trickling into it. Elliot, what's the story there?
I don't know. I don't think they can do that whole 20-lap run. The positive that they have here is they don't go a lap down. So if you short pit, you're not going to worry about losing anything. You're going to be able to go back up to the front. So from that perspective, you can kind of do what you want if you want a short pit, because you're just going to gain all those spots back, but you'll be on older tires. The interesting thing to me is just the fact that they can't do 20 laps. So you'd want to run this out and go 18 or 19 laps. That way you do have just I'm trying to do the math again, but I think that would be 4 stops versus trying to do, if you're pitting every 15, there's no way you can make up those 5 laps. You're going to have to do 5 extra. You're going to have to do an extra pit stop. So math-wise, we'll have to sit down and figure this out. But right now, that seems to be what everybody towards the front is trying to do. Matt Durr is still going long here with Mike McConville and Spencer Owens. Nicewanger and Sensi are still out here, but you can see most of the leaders, Jackson Sims, Eric Kiff, Jared Darling, all hitting pit road here on lap 18 coming to 19. So it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out, but I'd want to go as far as possible.
Going as far as possible, having the best tires for the longest amount of point, you'd like to think that was the best strategy, but strategy already being played here in this first going run. We've got pretty much just a whole scatter of strategy here, as now Matt Durr is going to peel off onto pit road from the lead. Let's see, Jackson Sims had pit last time by. It's so hard to keep up with everybody who's pit, and look at the field that follows
looks like
him down.
Everybody.
This is the last of the holdouts here. Everyone is hitting pit road. Mike McConville now is the last one on the track who has yet to pit. So Mike trying to stretch this out as far as he can. Maybe this was the trick that he was talking about that was up his sleeve here at Indianapolis here, as we see Ross Brockman missing his pit box. That's going to be absolutely lethal for his efforts. He's going to lose the draft. You almost have to treat it like it's a pack race, Daytona or Talladega, with not having any drafting help down the front straightaways. You're just not going to have the speed here. But as we see Matt Durr coming back around and completing his service, he'll go back out on the track and cycle back around here. And here comes Mike McConville down now off of 4, and he will hit pit road here, and this will complete the cycle here as everyone finally cycles back around. And I believe it's going to cycle around to the 25 of Nathan Jump, and Zach Henry and the 12 have a huge gap over their teammate Chris Heller here. And then it's another even bigger gap back to Jordan Gonzalez. So 25-11 have played this out just about as well as they want. They're sole controllers of this race.
So the idea here is that these guys are all going to go short and do 15-lap stints and then run 20 laps at the end, which puts everybody on par for a 4-stopper. McConville is the only one trying what would be a 3-stop race, 20, 40, 60 to the end. If he can pull that off, he will look like a genius. I don't know how he can do it. I don't know if it's going to be possible. He's the only one on that strategy. Everyone else is looking at 4 stops. It's just the fact that everybody else is a little bit more even here. Right around that 17 to 19 range, they'll just end up basically having a short stint at the end versus everybody else short stinting pretty much all of these stints together. But right now you're looking at a bunch of 4-stop strategies versus a 1-stop strategy. That is, if I think Heller pit on 14, if he can make that huge stretch, 20 or so laps at the end there. But he should be able to run some of these out to a 17 or 18 lap stretch and make that work over time. But I'd rather have the fresher tire, especially with how these runs go. You want that tire at the end of the run. We'll have to see exactly what the gaps are. Obviously, Zach and Jump are far out and far ahead, but we'll have to see if Heller gets eaten up by Sims and Eric Kepf and Matt Durr and all these guys that pit a little bit later. Matt Durr came out 10 seconds off. Gavin Fitzgerald's going with the undercut as he does week to week now, it seems. So we'll just have to see how these strategies work out.
Strategy really has just thrown this field into absolute disarray. You remember how packed up they were on prior to pits. Now the entire field is taking up the half of the track here as pit stops have now been completed, and you see the 2511 duo of Nathan Jump and Zach Henry now in total control of this race here as they scream down the front stretch and fire off into turn 1 here. Duo 2x2 hand in hand here. Elliot, is Zach sitting in Jump's wake there? Is that going to affect his tires a little more? Do we think we see a little bit of some position swapping just to save some tire or anything like that?
I think right now it's a bit of a draft train for them to kind of drive away and potentially help Heller gain a bit of advantage. But it's definitely going to hurt Zach a lot more than anybody else. Obviously, Nathan Jump can sit there and enjoy his peace and quiet from the lead and have clean air, and the truck will rotate and you won't get tight and it'll be nice. But as we watch Gavin Fitzgerald struggling already on these tires, this is why I wanted the extra tires. But going back to Zach and Nathan up there, it hurts Zach, sure, but with how Zach's speed was, now he's driving away towards the end, I think this is just a strategy ploy to, A, potentially save Zach some fuel as well and see if he can potentially adopt the Michael Conville strategy since he went a lap longer than a lot of these other guys. But B, just kind of, let him and Jump kind of control what they need to control. They're already driving away from Heller and everybody else. We'll have to see how Sims is gaining a bit, but they already gained 3/10 on Heller that last lap. So the draft is super useful here, and it could just be that kind of strategy to get them away from everybody else.
Yeah, lap times still, Jump and Zach Henry already have 8 and 9 laps on their tires, whereas the back of the pack only has, or I'd say the middle of the pack rather, has about 5 laps on their tires, and lap times aren't really that different already. And like I said, Jump and the 2511 crew, rather, all of them, are just about halfway through their runs. So either the fall off's about to hit like a brick wall, or they're just going to have a cushion to fall back on and just have to pray that the guys in the back of the pack are going to have to pray that they can run them down with this massive gap that they've built. But Jackson Sims trying to do just that. He has gotten around the 11 of Chris Heller, trying to hunt down this duo of Jump and Henry up at the front here. Jackson Sims wasting no time. He's got 3 lap fresher tires on average than the 2 guys in front of him. So will that advantage be enough to hunt them down over the course of this run?
Yeah, Sims is absolutely demolishing their lap times right now, gaining tenths and tenths at a time. And I think that's another reason why they're trying to use this draft up here as the 2 leaders, try to gain that advantage and keep that advantage over Sims. But to your point, this is the strategy. These guys are going to pit in about 5 more laps, and can Sims gain 3 seconds in 5 laps? Can he do this consistently every single run? That's the question. And then, towards the end of the race, he'll be able to shift his strategy if he needs to, with all these guys being forced to run long on that last run. So right now, judging by the way that Sims is catching him and how quickly he's getting there, we'll have to see if he can get within kind of a half second or so of them. But everybody was about a second behind Zach Henry before these pit stops started. So if you can be within that second of him as this cycles through, then I think Sims is on the right strategy here, and I just got to wonder if maybe Jump's not pushing hard enough, or if Heller's already run through his stuff. Remember, Heller pit first, so he's obviously losing the most amount of ground here and already falling to the clutches of teammate Jordan Gonzalez for that 5th position.
2511 definitely have a death grip on this field in the race right now. Jackson Sims trying to make a dent in that. However, further back in the pack, don't look now, but that dangerous trio that we couldn't help but follow throughout the entire first run of Neiswanger, Fitzgerald, and Senzi. I was trying to get it out fast enough, but I couldn't. Neiswanger has already gotten around the 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald. Those newer tires just proving to be too much of an advantage for him, as Gavin's not able to hold him off, and Shane screams off into the distance and now goes under fire from the 37 of Michael Senzi here. So Gavin not able to be as much of a nuisance to Shane this time around here, as he's gonna get, they almost touch, or they do touch rather. Gavin almost gets sent down into the pit lane, not unlike Adam Zorn there coming off of 4. Huge moment between them. That would have been absolutely lethal to both of their races.
Yeah, I don't think either of these guys are really friends with each other, and you can see Sensi now to the inside of Gavin. Gavin he gives him room that time, but I think Gavin got loose on the apron. If I'm going to try to give Gavin a little bit of space there, but he had the older tires, and Sensi knew it and was just kind of setting them up, and then Gavin came off the corner and just didn't go to the outside wall, and Sensi gave him a shot for it. So definitely bad blood between these two. It'll be interesting to see if Gavin stays in this strategy. They're just going to be passing each other back and forth all night, but right now, strategy not working for Gavin for the 2nd race in a row here, as he's now falling back to the clutches of Louis Woodall. And I believe that's Mike McConville right there behind Louis. That's who we're trying to keep up with as well. Only 15 seconds off the mark right now, so we'll have to see how long he runs here through this stint.
Mike McConville taking care of those tires as much as he can. Somebody who's not taking care of their tires is Jackson Sims, as he has now cut that lead. It was, while you were talking, Elliot, it was 2 seconds. Now it's down to 1.7. He is on the march to the front duo of Jump and Henry there, barreling down the back straightaway there. Is he going to be able to catch him before the pit stops happen again?
Like I said, he was over 1 second behind Zach Henry when all this started. Sorry, I'm sitting here watching the battle with Mike McConville and others, but he was over 1 second back, and him being about a second back here, 1.5 back, these guys should be pitting either this lap or next time by. I'd imagine if they're going to stick on this 15 to 16 lap strategy, they might start to go long here and just kind of offset themselves if they don't really like what they're seeing, because Sims is still coming with a head of steam under 1.5 seconds to the leaders. So, they have the ability to change this strategy. And honestly, there's some of the slower guys on track. Shane Neiswanger and others are running a half second quicker than the leaders, and really barreling down on these guys. So they might just want to be thinking about switching their strategy, because if they can't do this on a short run, imagine what's going to happen on that 20-lap run if they don't have the distance over these guys to be able to manage that.
It really is a tale of 2 different strategies here in the 25-11 camp. Obviously, the 25 and the 12 have played their cards perfectly. They're out front with a clean gap. Their only worry right now is Jackson Sims. Meanwhile, farther back, Heller has been overtaken by Ashton Lawson and Matt Durr, and he's going to hit pit road. He throws up the white flag, says, "This is my lap," as the 2 previously mentioned cars are going to set to work on Jordan Gonzalez here to try and get a little bit of advantage before, I imagine, he pits this next time by.
Yeah, I mean, Sims is, wow. Big
He's
movement
there.
going on back
He's there
here.
now.
Yeah, I'd imagine that that right now, with how this is going, that Sims is happy with the situation that he's in. He's caught these guys. He's right there. He's within a half a second of Zach Henry. I'd say that this is a winning strategy for Jackson Sims right now. Obviously, it's going to depend how that last run goes and where the gap ends up, but right now he's the one that's gaining the most amount of ground. He's within a second of Jump. He's within 0.3 of Henry, and you can see these guys are starting to run long now. Sims needs to clear both of them as quickly as possible and just set sail, and he's owning this race.
Jackson Sims trying to take the fight to Zach Henry here. He sets his eyes as they dive off into turn 1. Meanwhile, farther back, the 44 of Matt Durr and the 26 of Ashton Lawson go to war, and Ashton says, "You know what? You can have it. Let's see what you can do on the 48 of Jordan Gonzalez," as he did not pit this time like we thought. So Ashton Lawson trying to use others to his advantage here, and let Matt Durr try and set to work and see if he can get around him. Because, like you said, with passing being such a, dare I say, an art form here, with how difficult it is, as I believe Jordan Gonzalez is keying up this time to say that he is coming into pit road, but Ashton trying to play a little gamesmanship there and let Matt Durr, and it's going to backfire on him as he's just given up that position to one Jordan Gonzalez, who is going to hit pit road this time, and he almost checked up right into the front of Ashton Lawson here. Ashton obviously not happy about it on the radio there. You can see, or we can see it lighting up there. A little bit of a back and forth there, as there is now a huge gap. He has just lost a whole bunch of time to the 44 of Matt Durr as he fires off into one. So there's all of your 2511 drivers. They have just hit pit road with Nathan Jump and Zach Henry. So they are on this, I believe that was a 15 lap run now for the 25 and the 12. We know their cards. What's everybody else's?
Yeah, they're going to run it about a couple laps longer, so that end stint is going to be close to even, about 17, 18 laps, it looks like, instead of that addition that previously expected 20 laps. Especially for someone like Heller, who's running through tires very quickly, he's going to want that last stint to be a little bit shorter than that 20-lap run, because right now, I mean, he can't even make 15 laps work that well. You're not going to be able to make 20 laps work to the extent that he needs it to. So I don't believe anybody else is pitting. Gavin goes around. That's Jackson Sims getting a lap back there, so Gavin putting himself back on the lead lap. But I really like the strategy that Sims is on. I like what Shane is doing. Shane has been progressively just moving his way towards the front. We talked about him being one of the guys that we'd see save tire and understand what he's doing. He's progressed past Sensi and driven away. He's looking towards Spencer Owens and Jared Darling. That put him up inside the top 10 comfortably. So you just gotta wonder how this is all gonna work for these guys. But right now, I really like that strategy that Sims is deploying. The big issue for him is McConville's still on this long game. We'll have to see when he pits, but he has been stuck behind Louis Woodall for multiple laps here, cannot clear him, and that is really killing his strategy, because he has the freshest tires and the best pace, but the 13 is basically a brick wall in front of him and will not allow him to progress any further forward.
Mike McConville trying to employ that off strategy here. He's still just staring at the back of that 13 truck here, as Jared Darling now has hit pit road. He will be the first of that second little pack of drivers who trickled in there in the pit lane there. So he will relinquish his spot. I believe he was in the 5th position there, in a little train of Spectrum teammates there with Lawson, Darling, Eric Kepf, Spencer Owens, and then, like you said, Shane Neiswanger, who continues to march forward here. He has now caught the back of Spencer Owens and is bearing down on that sheets number 23. So Shane already employing the tire saving strategies, and it's paying dividends here over the long haul, as he's probably going to be able to get past Spencer Owens with the rate that he's caught him.
Yeah, I'd say Shane's probably one of the faster guys out here, just outside the top 10. If this keeps going the way it does and he can find himself on the right strategy, he might be looking at potentially a top 5 finish. He's just got to make it all work. But the hardest thing is going to be passing these guys. We've seen so many guys catch each other, but just like right here, you could see him get right to the back of Spencer, but getting clear of him is just a completely different animal. And you can see Spencer's actually going to, I don't know if he got loose or what, but he let Shane go there as well. So that's one way to do it. That's probably the easiest way. But right now, you can see just how difficult it is to pass someone. Just because you caught him doesn't mean you're going to be able to get around him.
Shane Neiswanger working his way forward. The next truck he's setting his eyes on there is Eric Kepf, who is in the 4th position here. Solid effort from him in his return to the GLTS playoffs. His teammate in front of him, Ashton Lawson, is going to hit pit road this time. That's another one who's just going to trickle onto pit road here. Starting to see more and more takers onto pit road, as the 2511 guys, who were the first ones, are now making their way through turn number 4, I believe. And it looks like Jordan Gonzalez must have had a little bit of difficulty on pit road there. He has just straight up lost the little pack of his teammates there. They are now hitting the start-finish line, and Jordan Gonzalez is coming out of 4 this time. So obviously something had to happen on that pit stop, or coming in or out of pit road. But Jordan Gonzalez losing touch with his 2511 teammates.
Yeah, he's a full 10 seconds behind Heller, which isn't surprising because Heller obviously pit earlier than he did, but he's still 2 seconds nearly off of Jared Darling. So as Shane Nicelonger hits pit road with Eric Kep and
Jackson
Spencer
Sims is
Owens.
on pit road as well. Your race leader there. He has hit pit road this time. So we know that was a 19-lap run for the Jackson Sims machine. So stretching it even longer, obviously, there. He's right just shy of being able to make it on one stop, I believe. He would have had to go to lap 40 here. And speaking of which, where's Mike McConville at? He has got to be just cruising around out there, still behind the 13 of Louis Woodall there. So everyone's starting to show their hands here, and Mike McConville is still staying out.
You know, for McConville, it might just be a strategy ploy here. Technically, he's got 20 seconds up on Jump and Zach. And it might just be a strategy to sit here behind Louis and conserve his fuel and make sure that he can go that extra lap. He's going to need to do that a little bit each stint and lose a little bit of time at some point, since he's going to continue to stay out as both Matt Durr and Spencer Owens come down pit road. He can go to 39 coming to 40. He might be trying to adopt this strategy and see if he can make it on 3 stops. So these guys are definitely trying it. McConville, I think, is in the best spot to be able to do it, as Louis Woodall also hits pit road. But Sensi and McConville both going a little bit longer here than everyone else.
That's going to be the last 2 takers on pit road here. Everyone else now has hit pit road, and that's going to cycle the lead. When these 2 pit, it's going to cycle the lead back out to the 25 of Nathan Jump here, who has pulled a little bit bigger of a gap on his teammate Zach Henry in the 12 there. So they're not as hooked up this time, and Jump's going to start to drive away with this one as he exits turn 2 and fires down the back straightaway.
It's going to be interesting how Sensi and McConville can make this run work. Sensi going to hit pit road here, not really a shock. McConville is going to actually go 240 coming to 41. That's going to be really good for him to be able to make that work. So, man, we're going to have to see, because with how quickly Jump and Zach Henry are coming on those fresh tires every run, it'll be interesting if this ends up being even or if McConville's just got a full wash over them because of how big this track is and how much time it takes to pit. McConville might not have a huge advantage like we think he might.
That was going to be one question that I had, was how big, with the size of the track that this is, you don't lose a lap or anything in the pits. How is that going to affect the off strategy here and pitting with such a vast difference in tires?
Well, obviously for something like Martinsville or Richmond, if you can stay out an extra run, you're in a really good spot. But Sensi coming off pit road right now, the big thing is he doesn't look like he's losing a whole lot of time. He looks like he lost a few seconds to Spencer and Shane here. We'll have to see how much he can gain back. But the thing is, these guys, as McConville hits pit road here, coming 40 to 41, which is, you know, if he can do that every run, he's got this. He's got this made. But the big thing with that is just making sure that you can, A, make that run, but B, make sure that you can gain that time back when you come back out on track. So we'll have to see how Sensi does catching up to Spencer and Shane. But the big thing is trying to make sure that you're not losing all that time to guys like Jump and Henry when you are pitting. I don't know exactly what the number needs to be for these guys to hit pit road, but they're running about 51 and a half to 52 second laps. So the idea is that you're going to want to be about a lap ahead of them. So as long as you're not a lap down, that's how much you're going to make up.
Strategy being employed all the way around this racetrack here. As we take a look back at the 6 of Jackson Sims, he has now got the number 1 truck of Jared Darling in tow with 4 or 3 lap fresher tires than him here. As we look back at this gaggle, Shane Nicelonger already gotten back by the 23 of Spencer Owens and is marching his way past the 63 of Eric Kep, sets his sights on teammate Matt Durr here. So Shane continues to move forward here as strategy still being played. It's so hard to tell where people are going to cycle out with the differing strategies, but one thing we know for certain is that Shane Nicelonger is moving forward.
I'm going to say the big strategy difference here for guys like Sensi and McConville is they're not dealing with a lot of passing, even though they need to do it. For guys like Shane and Durr and Fitzgerald and all these guys, they need to worry about trying to pass to make this stuff work. If they can't pass, which it's obviously been incredibly tough to do today, here at Indianapolis, it makes that strategy significantly harder because you're relying on yourself to really make up these positions on track instead of really on pit road, because you're losing all that time pitting late, but you're making it back up with fresher tires on track. So you need to repass these guys when you get out on track. So with how difficult it's been to pass, I don't hate the strategy that Cincy and McConville are employing here and trying to work out. The difference is for guys like Jump and Henry, not only are they short pitting, but they're not passing anybody. So they're basically just running as hard as they can for 15 laps and just trying to use up as much as they can. Sims now comes out 10 seconds out, and right now it just doesn't look like it's working out in his favor. But as these guys run longer, because they're not going to run 15 laps at a time every time, because they're not going to be able to make it doing that, as they run longer, Sims will get a little bit better throughout, and we'll just have to see how these guys really manage their tires towards the end of each run.
Sims has already opened up a little bit more of a gap on that number one truck of Jared Darling. Like I said, those tires being coming into play already. And speaking of which, he is starting to bear down now on the 11 of Chris Heller here as we look at Matt Durr and Spencer Owens setting to do battle here for that 10th position, rather, the last position in the top 10. So these guys starting to set to do battle here. With they're both pitted on the same lap. I love how we got to keep going back to who's got the freshest tires here, but that's really what it comes down to at a track like this. With how tight you get as you go on into the run, the tires are just too much. It just seems like it's too much of an advantage. But with an even set here, it'll be very interesting to see how that battle unfolds here as Ashton Lawson now is going to work to the inside of Jordan Gonzalez. Not much of a tire advantage there for the 48, as he is going to get cleared easily by the 26 and continues to fall through this field with those older tires.
Yeah, I know obviously he was on the Heller strategy and actually ahead of Heller at one point. I've got to be impressed with what Jordan's doing tonight. He's definitely shown that he has a lot of pace and has been running up inside the top 10 all night. You got to wonder if he didn't have that pit issue there. Again, we said it was close to about a 10-second difference of what he had done, so maybe he overshot his box or something and had to back up. But if he gains that back, he could potentially be looking at a top 5 spot right around where Heller and Jackson Sims are. So frustrating for him, but really good job nonetheless, and might be able to gain a little bit of that back as this race goes on. But Sims has already caught and is passing Heller now, as you see on screen, going into 3, already down to an 8.5, nearly 8-second gap. He's gaining almost a second early on in these laps, and that's what he needs to do. Remember, I said it was 10 seconds. Here we are 2 laps later, and it's already down to 8. So that's the big difference. And the question is, can he do that over the whole run and continue to catch these guys? Just remember, last time they all started pitting, Sims was right around where Henry was, but still a half second off Nathan Jump. Now he's got to get around Henry just to get to Jump, and that's going to be the biggest decider for Sims. He'll be able to clear Heller, but getting around Henry to get to Jump is going to be hard each time.
Boy, this pack back here, obviously you see Gavin Fitzgerald peeling off. He hits pit road this time for the completion of his 15-lap run. But this gaggle right here, the 23, the 63, and the 44, if you had seen the battle that I had just seen, it looked like Matt Durr was relinquishing the position to Spencer Owens there, and Eric Kepf just decided to step in at the last second and say, I will take some of that too, and he got by the 44 of Matt Durr there, as Matt's it looks like he's trying to fight back and drive back up to him here. But this pack of 3 have been the most interesting pack to watch here in the last couple of laps. So good hard racing going on all the way around this track here, and this is for that 9th and 10th position. So the battle for the top 10 happening right here in front of your eyes.
Yeah, Spencer, as Nathan Jump actually hits pit road really early here. I didn't expect these stops to happen on 47 or 46, and here we go. Nathan Jump going to set down the gauntlet and do it from here. I guess he's going to try to aim to cut this last run in half, but going back to that Spencer Owens and Eric Kepf battle, he was as high as about 6th at one point and has consistently dropped back to right around that 10th spot. Matt Durr, again, was also up there around 12 or 2nd or 3rd at one point, has dropped all the way back to 11th. And Owens just been consistently dropping back after starting 14th. He got up as high as about 7th or 8th, and now has just found himself right around 9th. So those 3 all kind of find themselves nice and comfortable there. But, I'm very interested in what Nathan Jump's trying to do. We got to see if Zach Henry and others come down. But going back to Mike McConville and Michael Sensi, potentially on this alternate strategy, they're only 21 seconds back and continuously gaining. So they might be on the right mark. Also, Sims, 4.3 seconds, 4 seconds now off the mark. Sims is just wearing down that 2511 camp, and I think that's what pulled Jump down pit road. He saw that number getting smaller and smaller. Remember, he was 8 seconds back the last time I said it, already under half of what that was.
Obviously, that can throw a big wrench in your plans. You see that. If you can see the gap actively shrinking, that'll definitely scare you into a strategy change here, as Jump's 2511 teammate Chris Heller has hit pit road now as well. So that leaves out the 12 of Zach Henry, who is at the front of this pack, and he hit pit road this time too. So a strategy wrench being thrown. They saw the gap shrinking, and they didn't want it to shrink anymore to Jackson Sims, who will inherit the lead this time. So Zach Henry hits pit road this time. We're going to have to see how that affects that gap at the start of the run versus at the end of the run now, versus what we've seen with the 2511 guys pitting at the beginning of this fuel window, and Jackson Sims pitting at pretty much the tail end of it.
Jared Darling also hits pit road, but this is where Sims needs to be very disciplined. What you've been doing has been working. It doesn't feel like it worked that well there, but that's because that was one of the shorter runs that they put together. They went short, they went long, they went short again. They're going to go long and then probably short one more time. That's how this is going to work for 2511. Jackson's been consistent. He's been about 18 laps a run. If he changes that now, that could decide the entire race. He just needs to stick with what he's doing. It's been working, and you just need to have faith that that's going to work at the end. Worst case scenario, he comes out of here third with the in third place, because that's where he's been running. So he just needs to stay disciplined and see this thing through, as we see Jordan Gonzalez now hitting pit road. Ashton Lawson a little bit up the way in front of him.
Those guys hitting pit road now. Jackson Sims has a huge lead now. A 10-second gap back to the 49 of Shane Neiswanger, who has continued to march forward. He got past the 48 of Jordan Gonzalez right before he pit. So check another one off the box for Shane Neiswanger as he continues his, dare I say, a conquest up from the 17th place starting position that he was at to now what I'm going to assume to be about a fifth or sixth place running position when this all cycles back around. Meanwhile, back in front of you here, the 63 and the 44 have not gotten away from each other. Matt Durr wants that spot back, and Eric's just going to lay over and give it to him here. I believe Eric's coming to pit road this time. So another Spectrum driver is hitting pit road this time. You've still got that little bit of the pack right there of the 49, the 23, the 24, or rather the 44, the 13, 37, and now, yeah, like I said, Senzi and Mike McConville has now found each other on the track and on that same strategy. So how does that affect their runnings going forward? Do they know that they're both on this strategy, and can they work together?
You gotta imagine McConville knows a bit. I don't know if Sensi's been paying attention to his mirror, because McConville's been back there the whole time, but I know he knows who stayed out the longest. So I'm sure Sensi's just kind of biding his time, knowing what he's got in his mirror. But the big question here is McConville can go further. He can go a lap further. He went a lap further last time. So it's going to be up to Sensi how this situation works out right now. If he can't go as far as McConville's in the catbird seat for it. The other strategy is so basically what's going to happen is these guys will pit right around lap 60. Everybody else will pit between 60 to 65, and from there we've got a race. So right now, McConville and Sensi are about 17 seconds up on Jump. What Jump is trying to do strategy-wise is cut down that 17 seconds as much as he can over these next 12 laps. Sensi and McConville are going to pit on 60 and pray that nothing else happens if they can make it. And Jump's entire strategy is to cut down that 17-second gap. He's already done that. He's 16.3 behind Sensi that last time by. It's going to come down to how much time he can take off of these guys. The question is how long that last run's going to be for Jump.
Jump trying to stretch it as long as he can here as this group still rounds the corner. Jackson Sims has now hit pit road like clockwork, another 15-lap run for him. So he is going to relinquish the lead into the clutches of Shane Neiswanger and that pack of cars that follows him around the corner there. So we'll have to see where Jackson Sims comes out in relation to Nathan Jump, who is just now going to start crossing the finish line here It's going to be a lot bigger of a gap this time, but like you said, that doesn't mean that the strategy hasn't been working. In fact, dare I say, because he made him change, that means that strategy has been working. So Sims knows that he's got to know that he's in 2511's head. How does he proceed with these newer tires?
Like I said, you can't really switch what you've been doing. He's been the fastest over the entire run, just every single time. He knows that these guys don't really know what it's like to run long, and this is going to be their long stint. They've got to make this last until about lap, I'd imagine, 62 or 61 to feel comfortable, as Shane Neiswanger now hits pit road. So we'll have to see how far these guys go, but they've still got another 10 laps left in this run. And the other question is how quickly Jump can catch Sensi and McConville here.
Spencer Owens, Matt Durr, Louis Woodall, they're all looking like they have at max 3.5 laps left. I mean, we've seen as far as 20 laps in a run, so they've got to be, if they're pushing it as far as they can, that's their numbers. 3.5 laps here as they dive off into turn 3 here, and Matt Durr has already caught back Spencer Owens. He's going to let him go right on by. So those two playing nice early on is paying dividends now for Matt Durr, as it's going to be an easy exit now for that truck here as they're going to go around another time here. So those guys, with a handshake agreement, you have to think just rolling around this track, trying to run it out as best they can here. As Nathan Jump now has trimmed that gap once again. He is now 14 seconds back. Bearing down on the 45 of Nick Caressel is the next one on his radar. So Jump already chewing into that lead a huge amount here. As we have already passed halfway, we're on lap 55 of this 80-lap event.
That's not the lead he's looking at, though. He's looking at that gap to Sensi McConville. I don't think he knows that strategy's happening. I doubt he really cares, but that's going to be the number that he needs to get to, and he needs to get to them before he ends up pitting. If he's not there, he's going to have to march them down throughout that last run. It's still doable because they're going to pit around 60, and he's going to have a little bit fresher tires, but it'll be very interesting to see if these guys can actually overcut this and eliminate a pit stop and come out ahead of Jump and Zach Henry.
So very interesting. All kind of a storyline that's been happening throughout this GLTS season is the fuel percentages that we run. There's been an argument that it doesn't offer a whole lot of room for strategy. Mike McConville has been the main proponent of the argument that it does lend itself for some strategy here. Just every single time it's been employed, he's gotten thwarted by a late race caution, or something has happened to just throw his plans all out of whack. But this time, if we can stay green for another 25 or so laps, he will be sitting in a very good spot. So it's so interesting to see the two sides of that coin now coming to a head here in this opening race in the chase for the GLTS championship.
I'll tell you, they're definitely going to break positive, because Sensi was pretty much as high as about 14. That's where he's been pretty much all night. If they can actually do this on one more stop, it looks like they're going to net right around where Heller is, more than likely, depending on how this all works out. And Heller has been ending up right around that third position. That puts Sensi nearly on a podium spot, if not a top 5 at a minimum. And I got to imagine that is a very big flip for them. McConville as well. McConville obviously started up in 8th, had a little bit of trouble at the beginning of the race, dropped back a bit, and found himself just needing to try something different. He may have had the pace to just straight up be up here in the top 5, but either way, this puts these guys right around 3rd and 4th places after this all cycles out.
Solid efforts from both the 37 and the 81. Obviously, Sensi throwing a wrench in his strategy early on. He was kind of matched up there with the 49 of Shane Neiswanger. That strategy has been obliterated, and now he's hanging out with the 81 of Mike McConville, going for the fuel strategy. So a long, winding roller coaster tale of strategy for Michael Sensi. We'll have to see how he handles that going forward. Meanwhile, in front of your screen, you've got Eric Kepf setting to work on the outside of Jordan Gonzalez here. They're going to be side by side down the front. It's going to be a drag race down to the line here this time, as we're going to hit 59 to go. Or rather, this is lap 59.
Yeah, we are moving ever closer as we get to see if these guys are actually going to be able to run these 20 laps. We're going to come around and hit 59 this time. Matt Durr is going to hit pit road. Spencer Owen's going to follow him. Sensi and McConville still out there. Ross Brockman, our normal fuel guy, is going to also pit here. Louis Woodall pit the lap prior. So these are the only two doing this. Not only that, but they still have what looks like is going to be a 6-second gap over Jump this time by. So, pace-wise, Jump might get there. Zach Henry might get there. I don't know that anyone else really will. So if these guys can keep this up, they're looking at about a podium. Sensi's talking about pitting this time. McConville's probably going to go the extra one, in which case Sensi's going to be the tightest as to if he can pull this off or not. But I've got to suggest that McConville has pretty much got this. He's just got to run this last run really hard and try to keep his pace up over Jump.
I mean, Jump's not gonna get that 6-second gap, now 5-second gap down to 0 there before Mike McConville pits, because I have to imagine it's this time. We haven't seen anyone go past 20 laps into a run as Michael Sensi hits pits road this time. Mike McConville is going to be the sole driver out on track yet to pit in this. So it's like you said, they're still going to be out in front of Nathan Jump. It's just a matter of how hard is Jump going to push and how hard is Mike McConville going to push. Is he going to start feeling the pressure of Nathan Jump coming up behind him, and is that going to throw that you start to maybe overthink your strategy and your throttle placement a little bit here? Is Mike McConville going to be able to stay rock solid and carry on this strategy as the laps wind down here? We are under 20 to go.
Yeah, you got to figure, we were talking about Sims. He's got to be scratching his head a little bit frustrated back there now in 4th, looking like he might not even get a top 5. He's still trying to work his way towards Zach Henry, and he'll probably have the pace for it. But right now, it's all going to come down to what McConville does and how much he can catch or how much he can keep that gap over Jump. And honestly, this run is going to dictate everything for Sensi and McConville. They've got to try to find someone to follow. Sensi needs to save a little bit, and McConville needs to try to work himself out into a spot where he can try to keep that pace over Jump. Sensi actually caught the grass coming onto the track. I'm not sure if that might give him an unsafe exit or just potentially slow him down a bit. We'll have to see if McConville actually comes out in front of him. But right now, Jump is going to regain the lead, but for how long? And can McConville and Sensi make this strategy work?
Gotta imagine Mike McConville's going to come out in front of Sensi here. He's already on pit road getting his service here. He should be leaving at any point. Maybe I'm about to put my foot in my mouth. There goes Mike McConville. He has left his stall. So it's going to be a close, tight race here between the 81 and the 37 coming back out on pit road. Meanwhile, Nathan Jump has assumed the race lead. He's got a 2.8 second gap over teammate Zach Henry. And here comes Mike McConville back out onto the warning track here. As you see Michael Sensi bearing down there on the outside, he's going to have the momentum here. Is he going to be able to clear Mike McConville down the straightaway? I've got to think so with that momentum. There he goes. So these two drivers have matched back up again, and they are all set on their long journey here to the end of this one. 18 to go here in Indianapolis.
It is the Mike and Mike show. We've got two guys out here trying to spoil. Sensi really playing spoiler. Hasn't won a race this season. Has only one win to his name in GLTS competition way back in Season 4 at Daytona. McConville, who has yet to win as well, sitting here at least in a chase spot. But Sensi obviously comes in here with a chip on his shoulder, missing out by 2 points on the chase after coming in positive into Chicagoland. Louis Woodall's disconnected as well. That was the guy that these guys would have had to catch and pass. Now they're looking at Spencer Owens, who's about 5 seconds up the road. So it's going to come down to how Jump pits here and how far back he comes out behind these guys and how quickly he can catch them. The sooner he pits, the better off Sensi and McConville are, because the less fresher tires Jump has. The longer Jump goes here, the better of a position he's likely going to be in.
So interesting, all this strategy here. As you see, Jump goes around the 4 of Rod Fosnaugh there, or well, rather maybe not. Rod Fosnaugh still fighting back on the inside. He's got newer tires, but he is going to relinquish that, not bother Jump too much here. As Matt Durr has now hit pit road after a 4-lap run. What is happening there? Did he hit pit? Did he hit the wall? What? Does he think that he can't make it? What is happening there?
Well, that's the thing. None of these guys can make it. Sensi and McConville are the only ones that absolutely can, so they're going to cut this super short. I don't know why they wouldn't at least run it in half, but I think the idea is they want to try to get out and have an advantage over these guys. But I really, 4 laps is not enough.
25 is in. Nathan Jump is in. They're all seeing what Matt Durr is doing. They've thrown it all out to the wind there. How does this affect that long strategy there, and does it?
Well, remember, Jump also pit. This is his long strategy. This is what he suggested was going to happen. The interesting thing is guys like Durr pitting very soon, but Jump and those guys they pit around 45, 46. So pitting between 60 and 65 was what I thought they'd do regardless. It's just I didn't anticipate Durr doing that after just a few laps. So Jump's still on par, and it'll just come down to if he can catch Sensi and Conville at this point. But right now, McConville's actually playing a really bold strategy. He's sitting behind Sensi because he knows he has more fuel than Sensi. He's going to see if he can run Michael Sensi out of fuel at this point and just kind of force Michael Sensi to, he has no draft. He can't do anything. If I was Sensi, I'd get behind McConville and at least use a little bit of draft, maintain that second place finish, and get what you can. But maybe Sensi also thinks he can make it. He's going to try to make this work.
These two guys, the 37 and the 81, now have just about a half, maybe a little bit more than half a straightaway gap on their main competitor here, the guy that they've got to have their eyes on, Nathan Jump. So Jump's now the one who's got to do the running down, as they have all cycled back out. Nobody, the 3 of them are not making pit stops anymore, as everybody else continues to. Ashton Lawson's on pit road. The 48 of Jordan Gonzalez is on pit road. So this is your race right here, the 37 and the 81 versus the 25. And if it comes down to whatever way that falls, the 81 and the 37 are then going to be fighting each other regardless. So it's kind of we can both fight the 25, but after that it gets complicated, and I can't wait to see how that unfolds here as they scream down the back straightaway here, and they're got their sights set on that 23 of Spencer Owens. I believe they're running them down.
Yeah, remember, they're on much pressure tires at this point. Sensi got really loose off of 2, actually concedes a spot to McConville. I think he realizes, hey, I might need to save a little bit here, so let's sit behind McConville, save some fuel, and try to just bring this thing home in a second or third place finish at a minimum and get this thing done. But yeah, they've got the freshest tires of anybody on the track right now, aside from now the guys that just pitted, like Nathan Jump and Matt Durr and others. But so they should run Spencer right down and get right around him here. The question's going to be when all these other guys start to pit. And right now, we've seen a bunch of them come down.
Nathan Jump's already shrunk that gap there in between them. It was over a half a straightaway. Now it's under half a straightaway. You're looking at about a third of a straightaway. So Jump's got the pace. Is he going to be able to catch him in time? We are at 15 to go this time as they run down the back straightaway. Zach Henry is still your leader, but all eyes are on the 81 and the 37, who have now lost each other here, as Michael Sensi is still falling back pretty much into Spencer Owens here, trying to save that much fuel.
And Matt Durr and Jump flipping the field. Everybody's pit now. Everybody's on the same strategy. Spencer Owens the only one that's still running long. Everybody came down that last time by. So McConville is your leader right here with Michael Sensi in second. And Jump knows what he needs to do. It's right in front of him. And Zach Henry is going to come out behind him somewhere. But Caressel has jumped these guys. He's up to 5th now.
Nick Caressel is on 10-lap old tires. His tires are a little bit older than McConville, Sensi, and Spencer's. He actually has, aside from Rod Fosnaugh, has the oldest tires on the block. Can he keep? Obviously, he's not keeping the 25 behind him. Is he going to be able to keep anybody else behind him? As now Jackson Sims, you were talking about Zach Henry. Jackson Sims has passed the 12 of Zach Henry. So Sims still marching forward after all of that. You got to think, I mean, any day that you have passed Zach Henry is a good day. But like you said, you have to be scratching your head thinking, where did it all go wrong for Jackson Sims here, as he is now, I believe that's good Lord, practically an entire or half a straightaway behind Nathan Jump, the guy who he was originally riding down.
I wouldn't say anything's gone wrong for him. I think what these guys have really run into is just the fact that everyone flips strategies. So the big thing for Sims is with Spencer Owens, Nick Caressel, and Brockman, they're all still going to have to pit ideally, is what we're thinking. And, Henry pit a little bit later than Sims, so he's going to have to fend off Henry, but they're basically racing each other here pretty hard for this spot. And right now, that's going to net them right around 4th, because it's going to be a top 3 race between McConville, Sensi, and Jump. It's just going to depend, A, can Jump get to McConville, and B, is Sensi going to run out of fuel? that's basically your two scenarios. Jump's going after McConville, and Sensi is the one that's the shortest on fuel out of these guys. So he's going to need to save a lap, and McConville is now just driving off into the distance, realizing that he has to do that to try to maintain the gap over Nathan Jump.
The other thing to think about here is we've talked about how hard it is to pass just for position. It's still going to be hard to for Nathan Jump to get by these guys who are right in front of him. Obviously, that some of that is for position, but you've got the lap car, or the lap truck rather, of Brent Kingcott right there in between them. Jump's going to have to make quick work of these guys. Otherwise, Mike McConville is going to be able to scamper away here as Spencer Owens just gets into the wall. Had to have been mirror driving, gets in the wall going into 3. That's 1 down for Jump. He's still got 2 to go. The next one being the 37 of Michael Sinzi, who has just backed all the way off of this throttle. Maybe he's got to save a whole lap. Like we said, it's a long 2.5 miles for 1 lap around here. That's a lot of fuel for Michael Sinzi to save. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it and stay in front of Nathan Jump. Jump's going to go to the inside here and fire off down into the corner here. He's got 1 left in between him and McConville, and it's the lap truck of Brent Kingcott there. So Jump's got his target. The gap is shrinking, but it's not shrinking very quickly right now, as we've got 11 to go here as they go down the back straightaway.
Still running close to a half a second a lap quicker. It's 3.5 seconds, though, near 3 seconds. So it's going to be interesting. And the other question is, how much is he burning his stuff up just to get to Mike McConville? And how much is he going to have left in the tank if he gets there? Obviously, again, passing incredibly difficult. These guys aren't very separated on tires, maybe 3 or 4 laps newer for Jump over McConville. But the question is, how much is McConville going to defend over Jump? Could they potentially get together? It's all going to happen. Jump's going to catch him. The question is he going to be able to get around him? The other side of this is, can Sensi hold this gap over Sims and Henry? Again, he wasn't running top 5 whatsoever. If he can just maintain this, he'll have a top 5, because Brockman has now hit pit road, but Heller is a while behind these guys. So Sensi's in a really good spot. He just needs to make sure that he can make that extra lap, which is, I think, what he's really trying to do. And I'm not really sure what the Spencer Owens strategy and Nick Caruso strategy is at this point. You're kind of already wasted up. Maybe they're just going to come in, get a splash, and go back out. I'm not quite confident, unless they think they can make it. But I think they're going to end up losing a lot of points here staying out this long.
Mike McConville continues to lead here, and we talked about the lap truck of Brent Kingcott maybe potentially being an obstacle for Nathan Jump. It looks like he might be an obstacle for, or he might make Mike McConville an obstacle for himself, as he has run down the 81 there with those fresher tires, slaps the wall right there. You know he's driving the wheels off that thing. He is, in fact, the first car 1 lap down. So in the event, fingers crossed, not trying to do the commentator's curse at all here, but in the event that we get a caution, Brent Kingcott is going to be the lucky dog. If he gets right by him, he's going to do it the old-fashioned way here. As they go off into 1 here, Mike McConville has got to just slow up for him. He needs that preferred line there. Rather, I think Brent Kingcott fired it off in there because he had to whoa up so much there. So now Nathan Jump can see his target in the 81 of Mike McConville. It's not very hard to see because he's in a bright orange Chevrolet Silverado there. But we are under 10 to go, rather at 8 to go this time by as they flash by the line. So the chase is on now, and everybody can see it.
And the problem for McConville is going to be just that dirty air behind Brent Kingcott. That's not what he wanted at all. You can see him trying to use all the racetrack right up out to the wall and all the way back down, but you can see that truck is tight, and that truck that is in front of him is not doing him any favors. Jump takes a whole 10th out of it just in those corners. If he can do that and keep going, he'll get there. But again, the question is that dirty air. He can get there, but how bad is that air going to affect him? Also, back with the Sensi Spencer Owens case, I'd correct myself. Brockman has not pit yet, but Spencer Owens, Nick Caruso, and Brockman still out there on this strategy. Sensi's the closest to be able to make it out of those 4, but Sensi still owns a 5-second lead over Zach Henry. That's starting to dwindle as well. We'll have to keep our eyes on that for the 3rd position. Jump getting there much faster in 3 and 4 than McConville, but can he actually complete this pass when he gets there?
The gap under 0.4 now. It's at 0.38 you see on your screens there, and it's only going to get closer. He can smell the blood in the water, and he's going to smell a bit of a draft down the back here. He's going to suck right up to the tailgate of Mike McConville here as he gets a good run off of the corner. we'll have to see. It is Mike McConville. How aggressive is Mike McConville going to protect this lead? Because this is the race for the championship lead here.
Yeah, I'd got to believe Jump can be really, he can be methodical here. He doesn't need to try to make this pass immediately, but he also doesn't want to get stuck in that dirty air and just sit back there and let McConville just own him, own the space in front of him. So you can see he looked to the inside, couldn't get anything done. And again, those were the corners that Jump was much faster than McConville in last time by. Also, Sensi is losing ground to Sims and Henry, who are both kind of battling each other, but closing down on this pair of Sensi and Spencer Owens. But we're going to keep you up front here and watch this battle between Mike McConville and Nathan Jump. This is for the win, under 10 to go, and potentially to take the points lead going into this, these final chase races.
I misspoke as I'm being reminded in my ear. Jump has those 10 bonus points. Mike throws the block. Jump sells him a dummy. He's going to go to the outside here and going to be able to pin him down in turn 3. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Nope. Mike's going to slide up, and there goes Jump. So Jump to that point, and he is just going to set sail on the 81 here. It was a great effort by Mike McConville. In the event that we get a caution here, he's going to be in a great spot to just duel it out. But as we stand right now, if it goes green, this is Jump's race to win.
Big battle back here as they go around Spencer Owens. We've got Zach Henry and Jackson Sims. McConville's actually asking Jump if he can stay with them so he can save a little bit. And Jump looks like he's going to let him. He's not really driving away, so you got to imagine that Sensi can't make this at all if McConville's short, and he pit a lap after Sensi as these guys battle really hard for this 4th spot. And then you've got Spencer Owens back there, I assume just hoping for a caution because he pit 3 or 4 laps before Sensi and McConville did.
Fuel is out the window for the 6 and the 12, but it is very much in play for the 37 and the 23. Those guys going long, the 2 in the middle of them going short as Sims is going to give Sensi a shunt down into 3 and is going to clear him that, or maybe not. He's not going to be clear. He's going to get loose and try and follow it through. Is Zach Henry there? Zach Henry's going to get turned into the wall. Oh my gosh, big implications here. Caution is out. That's just, wow. You hate it for Zach Henry and Michael Sensi. Such racecraft all race long, and it was just coming down to who's going to be more aggressive, and it was 2 drivers going for the same spot. Zach Henry keeps his foot in it a little bit earlier than maybe he should have and washes right up into him and right into that outside wall. Huge wreck for the 12 and the 37.
Question for McConville now is how hard do you press at this point, knowing that you've got a green white checker? We're going to go back and watch that. I believe that was just how tight that truck on the inside gets, and Sensi just, he's still racing for these positions, and he can still be in this fight. He's not going to just lay over and let everybody go. In hindsight, maybe that's probably what he could have done and just taken his nice 5th place finish, and that's probably what he would have liked to do now, looking back on it. But you can see he's giving Zach a lane and a half. Zach comes up the track, and just enough contact to put Zach in the outside wall there, unfortunately.
That's big wreck for the 12 of Zach Henry. You got to know he's going to be irate there after such a dominant run for him, running in the top 2 pretty much all race long here. Big wreck as we get down to, this is probably going to send us into a green white checkered here, as everybody I believe is going to come down for fresh tires here, and this is going to set them all back on the same strategy. And throughout the entire race, this is going to benefit the most Mike McConville on that long strategy. It has set himself up in the catbird seat after he gets these tires, and obviously it's going to depend on who gets off of pit road here, but with the ultimate gain throughout this entire thing, an awesome run for him. Unfortunately, it's just with the fuel strategy and everything, didn't quite work the way that he wanted it. He overshot his box. Oh, that is massive for the 81. He's going to be losing every little bit of advantage that he got on the rest of the field there. He's going to be down and away this time, but that's going to be absolutely lethal here.
He took 2 tires.
Took 2 tires. Oh my goodness.
Him and Jared Darling, and Jump didn't even get Sims got out before Jump.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely massive happenings here. Mike McConville not only going to have 2 tires, he's going to have somebody in between them here in the one of Jared Darling, as a little bit of a cushion between the 6, I believe, and the 25 are going to line up right behind him. So, wow, what do we do from here?
I'm trying to think what lane you want now for McConville. Traditionally, you'd want to take the outside and kind of force everybody on the bottom to stack up and then get Jump in an awkward spot. But because the outside's so fast here and Jump's going to start on the outside, maybe you take the bottom and just try to launch and hope that Jared can't really go anywhere on those 2 tires and stack up the outside line with him. I think you take the bottom and you try to stack the top, but this is very interesting. And don't forget about old Spencer Owens thrown in here. He came out of there in 5th. He'll get the bottom. He's got 4 tires. He hasn't really been bad off tonight. He started worse off out of everybody, about 14th, but he has progressed his way to the middle of that pack, running solidly right inside the top 10. So he might have something to say. And again, anything can happen on these short runs. These trucks are so they have so much energy and they have so much momentum driven racing here that a lot can happen with how the draft works down the straightaways, the bump draft, the pushing, the blocking. We can see a lot more action here in these last 2 laps. So this is definitely not over. I'm just really interested to see how these 2 tires work, because traditionally, yes, the truck's been getting tight, but at the beginning of these runs, these trucks are very uneasy going through the middle of the corner. It's only going to help McConville if it has clean air, but someone like Jared Darling could go into turn 3 and just literally slide that truck on entry, especially with someone tucked up behind them like Jumper Sims, and stack up that line. Give us either another yellow or give us just a situation where McConville can sneak away and try to hold this one off for 2 laps.
That's right. We will have 3 green-white checkered attempts at this if they don't make it clean this time. McConville's going to pick the bottom, like you said, Elliot, and try and pin Jump behind Jared Darling there. I would honestly rather race Jackson Sims versus Nathan Jump. Jump's so aggressive on these short runs. One thing, key note to mention here. In the GLTS rulebook, it says that we will use the iRacing restart zone. However, that is not in play at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They didn't scan in the iRacing restart zone. So Mike McConville has all the freedom in the world to go on, to choose whenever he puts that gas pedal to the floor. So if he's able to catch these guys sleeping, as long as he doesn't get a black flag for passing the pace car, because it is a shorter pit wall there. It's going to take the pace truck a little bit of time to get down into pit road. If Mike McConville doesn't pass that truck and he can catch the 1 of Jared Darling sleeping, and maybe even the 6, and put a little bit of a gap in between there, it might be his race to win. But we're going to see here as they come off of the corner here, like I said, the pace truck is going to dive onto pit road with a sharp right-hand turn there. And Mike McConville is going to lead him down. He's going to wait and wait and wait, still waiting all the way down. There he goes. He did catch him sleeping. There goes Mike McConville. He's going to have a full car length advantage as they get to the line there. Jared Darling's going to try and pinch Jackson Sims. It's not going to be nothing doing. Nathan Jump washes all the way up there. They're side by side for second, and Mike McConville is scooting away. Jackson Sims gets loose on the outside, the inside. That is lethal for him. He's going to slide back in front of the 26 of Ashton Lawson, and here comes the 1 of Jared Darling. He's going to have a big run. They're wrecking in the back. Huge wreck. It's going to take out just about the back half of the pack. Anybody who's not in the top 6 is going to have damage on their cars. This was absolutely crucial. We will go into another green-white checkered.
And Jared Darling had a run built up on McConville. That's what McConville doesn't need, and that's why Jump initially had everybody laid off on the start. I can't. I'm trying to go back and see if McConville maybe got loose off of 2. No, he just couldn't get through the corner, and Jared was getting a push. So it'll be interesting to see how McConville wants to play it this time. But that was all Sims getting slippy-slidey through turn 2 and ending up right in front of Ashton Lawson and company. And you can see the restart here. Eric Kempf got shoved out of line, but McConville caught him sleeping, got a really good launch. It didn't help him down the backstretch, but he knows that going forward this time. But he's going to have the 25 lined up behind him this time.
Jackson Sims really just got loose, just pushing it so hard on those new tires off the corner there, and just lost it. Was able to save it, but with the amount of momentum, it just sent him right back up into the front of that pack there, and it was just on from there as the Ashton Lawson gets tag turned in the outside wall, and then it's just bang, 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 just an absolute chain reaction like a bunch of pinballs in the back. There is the 44s involved, the 45s involved, Jordan Gonzalez was involved. I mean, just an absolute slew of top contending cars all day long have now been just unfortunately gifted damage in the nature of these things is it's just a huge wreck here. Your top 6 is really going to be the only guys who can contend.
I mean, the problem is there were guys up at the top 5 there that got cleaned out here. I mean, Matt Durr and Jordan Gonzalez and those guys were all running up towards the top 5. Ashton Lawson, Jackson Sims, but man, I think Ashton just thought he was clear and thought he had the momentum over Sims. I'm sure he's going to wish that he had that one back because he got turned up on the outside wall when he probably could have just gone straight there and had everybody cleared. You can watch the restart again from Jackson's point of view here. You can see Jared spin the tires again on those 2 tires. It'll be interesting to see if he got them heated up and now they're a little bit more equal and he can get a better launch this time. But McConville owned it, and coming off of turn 1, you can see Sims start to slide, corrects it, saves it. Now he's going to try to maintain and not lose all these spots. Comes back up. Ashton Lawson right there behind him. Ashton's going to think he's clear and come across his nose, and it's going to send Ashton up and then kind of pull Sims up into Durr, and everything all just kind of goes out the window there. But Caressel's not that bad off. Sims isn't that bad off. They might be okay. They're definitely not going to finish where they were running. As we get to watch from Caressel's point of view, you can see Ashton just kind of starts to come up. And actually, Ashton may have been clear and just, I don't know. Sims may have overreacted there.
I think Ashton just got pushed. I believe that was by the 48. I'd have to go back and look at it one more time. But yeah, see, so Sims washes. Yeah, Ashton just wasn't clear as he was coming up. Jordan Gonzalez had a heck of a run. Honestly, you can't blame him. He dove to the outside of a very out of control Jackson Sims as he was sliding back up. So you can't blame him there for going to the outside. Just had so much momentum, and Ashton Lawson was not ready for it. So that's what really kicked off the whole the initial contact there. That was the cause of all the crashing. But back out at the front now, if I'm Mike McConville, I am trying to, because he's still got Jared Darling, will be starting right next to him. If I'm him, and Nathan Jump is starting in third. If I'm Mike McConville, I'm picking the outside this time and still trying once again to pin Jump back behind the 1 of Jared Darling. He'll have Chris Heller this time behind him, who is Nathan Jump's teammate. So you got to think he's going to be trying to play as nice as he can, but also get the best spot or finish for himself as well. But that's what I'm doing if I'm Mike McConville. I'm still Nathan Jump is target number 1. He has been the fastest all night, and you got to think that's not changing. So I think it's just a Mike versus Jump battle at this point.
I don't even know if it's much of a battle with Mike on 2 tires. We already saw the pace that Jump had prior. I think Mike's kind of wishing maybe he took 4 before and has himself in a better spot. But I wonder what he's going to do on the launch this time. He should know that launch last time was going to get him eaten up into turn 3 with Jared and Jump right behind him. I just don't know how you fend these guys off and put yourself in a spot where Jared has to battle Jump and you don't. Because right now that's going to be the killer. If Jump gets to his inside, he's passed because of those fresh tires. It's absolutely crucial to have those fresh tires. So I don't know. I think McConville had a really good shot at top 3, and that caution really kind of made him overthink this situation. We'll have to see how it all works out for him. Best case, maybe he gets through all 3 of these overtimes, and they just end up finishing under caution. If they can wreck this time and one more time, he might just eke it out. But you've got a lot of guys up here now: Eric Kepf, Gavin Fitzgerald, Matt Durr. Well, Matt Durr's been up here all night, but Eric and Gavin, who have been kind of on the bad side of the strategy. Spencer Owens, who's been flirting around 12th. Shane Neiswanger's up here, who's been progressively making his way towards the front. All these guys have a new opportunity to make something happen. Also, notice all the blue banners up here. This is going to be interesting.
Big playoff points on the line here for a lot of guys who were able to squeak through that big wreck there coming out of 2 this time. Like you mentioned, Shane Neiswanger and Spencer Owens, pair of Pennsylvania boys, they're going to have an opportunity at some big points here. Coming down to this thing as we are rounding turn 4. They are going to stack up this time. Pace truck dives onto pit road, leaves the field in control of Mike McConville. He is going to wait once again and play it safe. Then he's away with a shot this time. Jared Darling still gets left standing a little bit. Nathan Jump's going to squeak to the inside of him there. They're going to be side by side. Mike McConville swings it out wide and dives off into turn 1.
He's got to be careful. This is very similar to last time, but this time Jump's going to be the one that's going to be able to get to his inside, so he's going to have to try to hold up his 25. We might see a block all the way down to the apron here. Spencer Owens can't get through 2. Jump can't get through 2. They're all tight. They're in the wall. McConville's got a gap. Shane Nicewanger to the bottom. They're 3 wide down the backstretch. McConville's in the best spot. Can Jared get there through draft?
Through goes Nicewanger. He's going to have the advantage on Nathan Jump there, and he's going to go to the 3rd spot there. Mike McConville is squeaking away as the only person left to contend with him really is Jared Darling here as they're going to round turn 4, looking for the white flag this time. Farther back in the pack, they're going to be side by side for that 3rd position. Shane Nicewanger and Chris Heller are going to be side by side, and you can see the snake pattern happening. White flag this time for Mike McConville. He dives it off into 1 with Jared Darling in tow.
Shane Nicewanger and Nathan Jump make contact. Spencer Owens is involved. Ross Brockman, they're all killed back there, but there's a race on for the top 3. Heller's in 3rd. You've got Mike McConville chased by Jared Darling, and a massive wreck all back there, but the top 3 are gone. McConville's got this made. They're on the equal tires. McConville's had the pace. Heller can't do anything. Heller might be able to get up to Jared here, but it looks like McConville down the backstretch with the gap going into turn 3 should have this made here at Indy.
Mike McConville is scooting away. That one truck behind him is getting smaller and smaller in the mirror. It's going to be a fight for that 2nd spot here, as Chris Heller's going to have a run coming out of turn 4, but nothing doing. It's going to be Mike McConville using fuel strategy to get himself all the way up there all night long, and he is going to win the opening race in the GLTS Chiefs for the championship. Mike McConville takes it in Indy.
From sneaking his way in off ridiculous strategy at Chicago and just kind of having some insane pace at the end to playing the only off-strategy situation this whole time with Sensi, and here he is. He's going to win here at Indy, his first GLTS win, and it comes in a big way. He's going to leave here potentially your points leader, depending on how bonus points work out, but he should be at least within Jump or probably about a point ahead of him. But wow, what a run by McConville. What a great job. I don't know if he got lucky with how push tight everybody got. It was funny how everybody got pushed loose on the exit of the corners on the first restart, but it all worked out for him on the second one, and everyone got tight that time. I thought Jump was just going to be able to clear Darling, and Darling sat on his quarter panel just long enough for McConville to look up in his mirror and give a big old smile off turn 2, because he knew as soon as that situation happened that it was pretty much over. And then after he saw those guys wreck down the front stretch, it was all in his hands, and it was only Jared Darling that could do anything about it.
Awesome run from Mike McConville tonight. I'd really like to go back and look and see what happened on that wreck, because honestly, I missed it. I was so glued to the battle up at the front. And as you see, Mike McConville burning it down after a well-deserved victory here in Indianapolis. The opening race, like we said, of the GLTS Chase. This is going to be absolutely crucial for his points venture going forward here as we go. We're going to take a look back at the wreck that set him up for this incredible run all the way to the finish here, as it looked like Nathan Jump just sent it on in and couldn't get it woed up, and then I believe it was a little bit of a wash up into turn 1 and collecting a bunch of others. But big moment there that basically just made it all part of a 3-car battle all the way for the end here.
We'll go ahead and get flowing with some interviews here. I believe we've got Chris Heller to start.
Chris Heller, it's Brittle and the boys up at the booth. Got a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, man, you were. I would hazard to say that you were the 3rd best of the 2511 guys on that fuel strategy, but you end up being the 1st best in them. And when it comes to the final results here, take us through those wild last few laps there. How did you manage to stay clear of this wreck that looked like it just happened all around you?
Well, Brittle, I've been in so many wrecks in the past, so far this year, like in the 2 leagues that I run. But I just stayed calm. If I got wrecked, I got wrecked. Whatever. I'm not in the playoffs. But I will say, I think the Coors Banquet tonight definitely helped me get this top 3 for sure.
Attaboy, man. You gotta stay calm, cool, and collected. I will have you know that in the top 7, you were the only driver not in the playoffs there. So an absolute great effort to try and play spoiler here tonight. How did you feel with playing that the tire and the fuel strategy going on? It looked like you guys kind of threw a monkey wrench in everyone else's plans when you pit early there at the back end. Talk us through the mentality of all that all night long.
Well, we all thought it'd be tough to go 20 laps, like each run to kill one of the stops. So we figured, all right, so we're just gonna divide it by what, five runs, and that came out to be like 16-ish laps a run. So that's kind of what we did. And when we got further and further out, we decided to just start running the runs just a little bit longer because we had the track position already. So that's kind of what we decided to do. But it definitely worked out for us. We would have won the race if that last yellow didn't come out with Zach getting in that wreck. But I mean, it just happens in racing, unfortunately.
Yep, that's just part of racing here in the Great Lakes Truck Series. We see them. It seems like we're seeing a last few laps yellow flag more than we're seeing mid race yellow flags at this point. So clean racing all the way up till right at the end. An awesome effort from you and your entire team all night long here. Looking forward, next week we're headed off to Nashville. How are you feeling about that little mile and a half versus this big old 2.5 miler?
Well, Nashville's probably my worst oval racetrack, but I'm definitely going to try to put in some work this weekend and see if I can figure something out to be at least halfway competitive, but we'll see what happens.
Heck yeah, man. Looking forward to you. Like I said, you almost played spoiler tonight. We'll see if you can get it done next week in Music City. Before we let you go, do you have anybody else to thank for your awesome performance here tonight?
Well, I mean, I'd like to thank the entire team, 2511, with Nathan Jump almost winning this race, Zach Henry, as always, being one of our co-owners, Preston, Jordan, and just everyone. Who am I missing? Am I missing anyone else? I don't think so. But yeah, I would like to thank the whole team and the team that runs on Friday nights as well. But yeah, and thank you guys for the broadcast and everyone else who's watching. So I know my mom definitely watches a lot. My dad watches until he falls asleep. But but yeah, for sure, it was definitely a good night for us for the most part. Nathan still finished fifth, so I mean, at the end of the day, that's still a good run no matter who you are. So.
Well, man, it was awesome to watch you battle it out all night long throughout this entire event here. A great run for you coming home third here. Thanks for talking to us tonight, man, and we'll look forward to watching you run at Nashville next week.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
All right, next up, we've got Jared Darling, finished second tonight after starting 12th. A bit of an up and down night. It seemed like through the first couple runs that you didn't quite have the pace there, but ended up finding yourself in a spot to win it. What made you go with the 2 tires with McConville there?
I just felt like I had nothing to lose because, like you said, I kind of struggled tonight. I got a little bit better at moving my way through the field a little bit through the pit stops and all the different strategies. And I think I probably would have finished if it stayed green about 6th, somewhere around there. So when that yellow came out, I mean, instantly I was like, I'm taking 2 because screw it. Why not? Let's try it and see what happens. And it was either finish 6th or go for the win. So I'm going to try to go for the win. And the 2 tires, it worked for about a lap or 2. So if there was any more laps, I would have been screwed. But yeah, I really wish that second yellow and the green white checkers would come out because I had a huge run on Mike there, and I think I would have had him into 3 and had a shot to win it. But he did a great job today. He had the strategy right and was going to get a good finish anyway. And happy for him to get I believe it's his first win, I think. So good for him.
Yeah, it is. It's his first win, starting it off right after just sneaking in on you guys, and now I think he's going to jump to potentially P1 on the boards or P2 in the standings. So, anything else that you thought could have been different from your strategy to be able to potentially put yourself in a better spot? Do you feel like you could have done the 20 lappers? Because I believe it was McConville and Sensi that were trying it, but everyone else, I believe Heller was saying that they didn't feel they could do 20. Did you think that was a viable option for you at any point during the race?
For me, I don't think so. I'm not really the best at saving fuel. Really, it all comes down to, a couple seasons ago, this never was a problem. But this season, I've just, for some reason, I've had trouble qualifying. And I think that's just track position. I've just never had it really from the beginning and was in such bad traffic, and it just took me forever to pass people to get up to at least, that top 5 and try to race for it. But yeah, I just got to qualify better. I don't really know what's going on with that, but yeah, that's really kind of where I feel like I'm not having the best track position for these races lately.
I'll tell you what, it worked out tonight. You didn't start anywhere near the top 5, but you certainly finished there. Another solid podium for you. And looking forward to Nashville and Dover. How do you feel about the upcoming tracks here?
Yeah, Nashville, last time we raced there, I was very strong. I ran top 3 all race there. So I'm looking forward to Nashville. Dover, I'm not really too sure. I haven't raced there in a while. So we'll have to see how that one goes. But Nashville, for sure, I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully we can finish, right around here, go for a win. Like I said, last time we were there, I was pretty strong. So looking forward to it for sure.
Well, Jared, looking forward to seeing how this chase works out for you. Really strong showing here. Finished second at Indy. Anyone you want to thank for tonight's run?
Yeah, just Eric for the paint schemes, as always, you guys for broadcasting, and the whole Spectrum team. We had a pretty solid run tonight, and some guys had some bad luck there at the end, I think, with all the restarts. But yeah, really, like I said, like you said, really good points night, getting more points than I probably should have if it would have stayed green. So yeah, looking pretty good here to start the chase. So happy about that, and hopefully they can continue it all into Nashville next week. So we'll see you guys there.
Sounds good, Jared. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
That was Jared Darling, your second place finisher, but now it's the man of the hour, last but certainly not least, Mike McConville, your winner tonight. It's Brittle and the boys up in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir. How we doing?
I don't think we're doing as good as you are, man. Take us through. Well, first of all, congratulations on your first GLTS win. It couldn't have come at a better time here after barely squeaking into to the chase rather. You come out in dominant fashion here, looking to perform a Tony Stewart here with.
What did I tell you when we were on the grid? What did I tell you?
Yeah,
magic in this truck tonight.
It certainly was, man. It was awesome to watch you come up through there, man. Take us through those last couple laps. Number one, I can't wait for you to go back and watch the broadcast on this one, because when we saw you slide through your box, I thought it was over for you. You're going to hear it in my voice. I thought it was over and didn't even realize that you had taken 2. What was the mentality there going through all that?
Oh, I thought I was over too, but coming down, I knew I was taking 2. I figured more guys were going to take 2, so I thought I was a little screwed there, but just me and Jared took 2. And man, I was not giving that lead up for anything.
Well, you certainly weren't. You had a stranglehold on it, and that the next moment I want to talk about is obviously that first wreck that happened there. It took out the back half of the field. You might I don't know if you got a good look at it at all, but the second one there on that second and final green, white, checkered. What was the feeling there as you look up into your mirror and you see it's a 3-car race and you're in the lead?
All I was thinking was break tracks, which couldn't get a run on me. That's all I was thinking. Hit my marks. Do the snake, what Joseph Newgarden did last year. Break the track as much as I could, and dude, to break through in what is hands down the tough lead that I've run in currently, it feels so fantastic.
Well, man, it was awesome to watch you run really strong with that strategy all night long. I've made reference to it in the broadcast, but the guy you were fighting all night long, Nathan Jump, doesn't really feel like there's a whole lot of strategy to be played. You sure proved him wrong here tonight. Congratulations on your first win once again. I can't say it enough, man. It was awesome. I love watching guys get their first win in this series here. Next week we head to Nashville. How are you feeling about that one? Obviously, you're going to be sitting a lot better in points this going into that one, but a little bit different of a track this time. 1.5 versus this 2.5 mile rectangle. How are we feeling about it?
Next week's going to be all about track position, kind of how it was tonight, but it's a lot narrower. It's going to be a lot harder to pass because there's like a half a groove to run in, where here is like a groove and a half you can run, but it's going to come down to qualifying and hitting the marks on pit road. Not like I did tonight, hopefully. But man,
you've got all the momentum in the world going into that one. So looking for another dominant run, or very strong run rather, there in the Music City. Before we let you go, do you have anybody out there to thank for your first win? I can't get over it. It's so awesome for it. Do you have anybody to thank out there?
First off, I want to thank you guys for always putting on a great show. I always love going back and watching the broadcasts, either the night of or the day after. You always get some kind of insight looking from a different perspective. I want to thank Shane and all the league admins for putting on this league. Love it to death. I want to thank my parents who are actually watching the broadcast they watch every week. I want to thank all my teammates, Nick Hansen, Trent Curtis, Alex Feder. They're the ones that motivate me every week, that keep me focused. And man, watch out. We're winning this championship. I have stated my claim today. Do not count me out.
Well, anybody who was counting you out, I doubt it's happening anymore, man. This was an awesome race for you. I'm so happy for you. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us here after this one. I want you to go out and celebrate this one, because you only get one first win.
Very true. And you know what? I hope to be speaking with you next week.
I hope so too, buddy. You take care now, and then enjoy your victory.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
You too, man. And that'll just about wrap up our interviews and close it out here. Mike McConville with his first win in the Great Lakes Truck Series does it in the opening race of the GLTS Chase for the championship here. Elliot, how are we feeling going into this one? Now we both of us kind of made Mike McConville as our dark horse pick, and boy howdy did it play out. How are we feeling going forward?
Man, I've had a lot of questions over how the chase works, or how, different chase stats and who's come from the farthest back to win the championship and everything. And I think McConville's come in to say that's going to be me, because he came in as the last seed, in by maybe 2 points, maybe a point over Eric Kef in the 9th seed. But man, has he come in and just shot right up to the standings with the win here tonight. And he compared himself a little bit to Tony Stewart, and I don't disagree with that mark at all. He was very inconsistent in the regular season, but had a lot of pace at certain tracks and had a lot of different strategies that put him in good spots, but had late cautions that really killed him. Tonight, that late caution actually played dividends for him, because otherwise I don't think he was going to be able to catch jump and get that done. So he kind of got a little bit paid back to him tonight. We'll have to see if that continues moving forward, but he said it. It's his championship. And we know Nathan Jump wants it, and Zach Henry, who was potentially one of the favorites going in, obviously wrecked out tonight. It's going to be interesting to see how these three guys combat the next few races and where we end up going into the finale at Atlanta.
So many storylines already being developed. We've only run one race out of the 7 in the chase for the GLTS championship here. Mike McConville getting his first win here, like we said, and taking the opening race in this one, setting himself up perfectly going forward in this one. We'll take you through the field here, get you a final rundown on the results on tonight. Obviously, Mike McConville is your winner. He brings it home in first place. First place there. You can see him on the yard of bricks, just burning it down. Jared Darling, we spoke with him. Solid run all night long with that, and then with a two-tire strategy there, manages to keep it up there in second place. Chris Heller, awesome night for him. Brings it home third, besting his 2511 teammates who just had the pace over him, but didn't quite pan out for him. Eric Kepf, too. Our bottom two seeds, our bottom two seeds rather, have accounted for 2 of the top 3 finishers tonight in this race. So both of them off to a flying start in this one. An awesome run for Eric Kepf here. Look for him to keep this momentum high up as he goes on in this chase here. Nathan Jump, your favorite coming in here. He's going to bring it home 5th after dominating all night long. Is going to get caught up back in that last caution there. Still manages to bring it home with the top 5. Solid effort from him. Jackson Sims running his number, brings it home in the 6th position. Solid night for him. Spencer Owens there up top all night long. I believe that's another 7th place finish for Spencer Owens. That's got to be a stat that you've got to go track, Elliot, because I think I'm pretty sure he's finished 7th like 6 times in this season. But still nothing to shake a stick at there. Gavin Fitzgerald, after all that we were talking about him with being off the strategy and burning through his tires and everything, brings it home 8th. Still a solid run, manages to bring it back in. And then Robin Durr and with a 9th place finish here. These next two guys are going to be are the ones. I mean, we've just got a whole top 10 here of guys we didn't expect to be up here. Robin Durr, solid 9th place finish here, managed just to weave his way through that final the carnage there. And Brent Kingcott, who I believe missed the grid on the start, he was way far off in the back of the pack at the beginning of this race, and was flirting with going 1 lap down, 2 laps down all night long. He brings it back to a top 10 finish. For him, awesome night, awesome rebound for Brent Kingcott.
5th, 7th place finish for Spencer Owens, by the way, on this season. Rounding out your top 20, Matt Durr finishes 11th after his topsy-turvy night. Unfortunately, not the finish he wanted, but was also involved in a lot of that stuff towards the end. Ross Brockman finishes off in 12th after starting 21st. Nick Caressel back in 13th. Another chase guy that just didn't end up in the spot that he wanted after running up towards the front towards the end. Rod Fosnaugh comes home in 14th. Shane Neiswanger, probably one of the biggest hits towards the end of the race, had a position to potentially finish. I mean, he was passing jump for 3rd last time we saw him, and then he ends up 15th after crossing the line. Michael Sensi ends up 16th, involved in that late race drama between him and Zach Henry, who's right there behind him in 17th. Jordan Gonzalez, 18th, after a really good run all day. Unfortunately, just continuously keeps finding himself in a situation that he wasn't a part of. Adam Zorn in 19th after starting back there. Just a clean run, but towards the beginning of the race obviously had his troubles. And Ashton Lawson, involved in one of the late race incidents, finds himself in 20th after running top 5 for most of the day.
21st, coming home 21st is going to be Lewis Woodall. I believe he disconnected halfway through this event. He finishes 28 laps down in this one. 22nd goes to Preston Henry, also an early disconnect, and then Sam Hoff in the 17 gets disconnected in this one as well. I believe that was just he straight up lagged out. I don't believe he got involved in anything. And then James Shiflett, unfortunately, finishes got the starting park here tonight. Brings it home in the 24th and last position here. That's just about going to do it for all of us here at Split Second Broadcasting here in the opening race of the GLTS Chase for the Championship here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A huge congratulations once again to Mike McConville getting his very first GLTS win. An awesome night for him all around. Remember to follow us on Twitch, like and subscribe, and we will be back here next week for round 2 in Nashville, looking to carry on this awesome racing that we've had going on all season long. From Split Second Broadcasting, my name is Hunter Brittle, alongside Elliot Henderson and Jeff Johnson in the producer's booth back behind us here, saying so long from Indianapolis.